1.2335, if I did that correctly by memory. Um, anyway, where we left off was, remember we were in orbit and I was going to have to collect some EVAs, and then I was going to bring it back to the planet, and something happened. I returned to the Space Center, and I came to my contract page, and what I found was a contract that says Explore Kerbin. And basically what it says is I've still got gas, I'm still in orbit, and I can get some cash for bringing him home. Um, that amounted to, look, 32,000 Kerbal units. I also got some reputation and looks like bonus science and reputation. So maybe 4 bonus points for completing that contract. It's funny. You play for a long time, and there's a lot of things you don't notice because you don't go there. And that's the wonderful thing about open in simulation is you can basically do what you want. You're not forced by a game. The simulation is at your mercy. Sometimes games make you grind or do something annoying before you can get to the fun. Or I hate that too when they take away your controls, or the way to get better or worse is to make your player actually have more ability. This is terrible in racing games and shooting games. It's like if I wanted a shaky hand, if I had a shaky hand, I might not have started to begin with. So why am I going to spend 10 hours just to make my hand stop shaking, or just so I don't slide, to simulate that, what we call skill, an increase in skill. Now, the nice thing about Kerbal is that you can walk into game one, day one, game one, and if you have the skill, you're going to go farther faster. And it's not going to hold you back or make you do something to get it. You either got it or don't. You either learn it or you don't. And I love that about simulation programs. And I just hate that when game makers cheat because they can't figure out how to program artificial simulation, or they have limitations to their technology, or they just don't have the ability, or they don't have time or resources to fix it. I'm not even going to talk about laziness. That would require me to judge someone with intent, and that's near impossible to do without their own admission. And then even then, people sometimes are confused about why we do what we do. Anyway, why would we fly by the moon? Because we can. Because we may have a contractual obligation to do so. Okay? Explore the moon. If you recall, we're going to send, I thought Valentina. Let's check. Oh, yes. She has so much courage, and she's not stupid at all. But yet, we haven't sent her anywhere yet. So, Valentina, today is your day. Now, when I came back, I got the extra money. I also brought some research with me, and these are the parts that I received. After looking them over, the only thing I can maybe use is this launch stability enhancer, and that would only be if I have extra parts to count. And it looks like we have larger decouplers, adapters, oh, a crew can, so we can take 2 Kerbals with us. I'm not sure if to the moon is a good thing to do, because when you bring that back, you're going to have a lot of heat, and you could kill a couple Kerbals. That actually is not the most stable, reliable crew cabin. It's basically just like one for aircraft, but extra thick. So It'd be perfect for space planes. And with extra gas and an extra part count, we may actually take 3 Kerbals to fly by the moon. Just get everyone experience real fast. May or may not. We need to go to the shipbuilder. I have determined that this flight control, we may be able to use the delta wing or the reaction wheel. All right, 2-man Soviet style. Looks like we have control surface for a rocket winglet. Not really much we can do other than bring more along. Now I had the option to get a solar panel, and that's normally what I would have done. But I decided in this instance we'll be conservative in our approach. I'm not running life support because of the new upgrade, so with life support it's pretty much mandatory. That would be the next move, because otherwise they wouldn't make it to the moon and back. Keep warm and keep breathing and keep scrubbing the carbon dioxide. Hopefully Kerbalism is a wonderful life support. Some of the others are a little more dumbed down. Of course, Kerbalism supplies more ways to die. Radiation exposure. It really, if the game ever gets bored to you, look up Kerbalism or other life support. It gives you more parameters in mission planning. This is a really nice one to have. But we probably are not going to be using this, any of these. I'm sorry. If we had bought this, we wouldn't be using any of these except for the solar panel, and we don't have a part count to put on our decorative lighting yet. So anyway, enough is enough. Let's go fly by the moon. If you remember me talking, I said we would bring our spacecraft that we had already built. So let's open it up and look at one possibility, and then we'll be off. Alright, I actually opened the Z12 orbiter, removed the fixed fins, put delta fins with ailerons, and anyway, use the delta wing. I like it. So that's the only change I've made to this craft. We are still limited to 30 part count. So if we did want to take another Kerbal, we would have to eliminate something. So what we could do is remove that. Take that off. Leave the shield on. We seem to have plenty of gas. Now, one thing this is going to do is increase our weight. And we need to know by how much. So that's 1 ton plus a couple 3-foot creatures. Should be okay. We have made the choice not to take mystery goo. Or have I? Maybe I should take a choice not to do barometric pressure or temperature readings. Gosh, I hate to leave any science behind. I'm going to take one. We will have a scientist on board, so we'll make sure of it. We can reset the controls. Now I'm going to put this on this side. I'm going to flip it up like that. And what this is going to do, let me, well, I didn't plan this well at all. I'm just on the fly. I'm going to put it on this side, and I'll do a roll if I need to. And hopefully what this will do is pull us naturally by off-balance drag into our orbital path without creating so much drag that we roll over. Anyway, check my part count. I'm at 30. Man, could I do it with one less battery? Okay. Alright, I've just balanced it and offset it. I've just eliminated the possibility of failure. I was taking a risk to get fancy, which was not mitigating it. It was compounding it, and it's not a good thing. But now I have one extra part to add, and I'm wondering what that part should be. So I talked about the increase in weight. I can add a full-blown parachute. I can put on a drag chute. I'm going to put a drag chute on. Put it all the way to the back end. Need to set it up. I want this one to open first, and then let's see, at 5, then I'm gonna have it pop open at about 1700. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm gonna put that all the way to 7.5 and put this below 1700. And the reason is so I don't use this drag chute, flip the craft upside down, point down, only to have this chute yank it back again. So this is for the comfort of the rider. At 7.5, I'm thinking that's gonna pop open at about 2,500. We'll have to keep an eye on that. This should pop open. I'm thinking this is 3 to 4,000, and then that'll go into a drag state, which will slow us down. And this one should pop open, and then after this one pops open, that one should flower, and then this one should flower. And I could have the flowering off a little bit, but I think if this pops open and is dragging, and this pops open and is dragging, it won't flip us around. Anyway, so let's save that, and we're going 3 to the moon. Flyby, all 3. This is a first for me. I usually play it safe, conservative. I don't worry about extra stuff. I'll do it for you guys, the viewers. I'll do it for you. Anyway, save. It never hurts to check things. All right, that's terrible. We would have died with that launch program. So first we're going to do the solids. This must fire simultaneously in case we need it, but we won't use it until after that fires. And then we'll use this. We'll have to keep that in our brain. If you were super daring and brave, you could just put it in there. And then it's not even possible until these launch. Let's do that, because we've already flown this ship before. And let's get our crew assembled. So, I'm going to go Valentina. Bob. And Bill. Scientist, engineer, pilot. We've got them all for the flyby of the moon. The engineer benefits could be if we needed to repack a chute. I don't know what else they do. I think you get some benefits towards fuel consumption, possibly some other things. We'd have to look that up for me to understand exactly what the engineer benefits are. Now, while I'm here, I just want to take a minute. We have all this stuff strapped up on the side. You know, we're trying to be a little more science friendly, so I'm going to take those and turn them over. And now we have a little bit of drag on the driver's head. So anyway, save. And I'll put a timestamp to jump through this at this point. Anyway, let's go fly by the moon. Now we've already flown this craft, so there's no real change other than we added weight, we added a parachute. We do have that drag on the one side. So we do have an unknown variable. We've also changed this, so I'm going to set that throttle to where I think it's going to be when I fire it. It won't fire until I actually stage, but it'll be preset. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, launch. And like I said, we don't mess with it too much. We're looking for a couple numbers. 200 meters per second here. Looking for 2,300 feet. You never want to touch your controls until you achieve 200 and 2,300. You can see we now have achieved both of those states. We have solid boosters. Because we have control now, I can coax it a little where I couldn't before. And I got my roll instituting. As you can see, the solid boosters are about to run out. And fire. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is check my throttle and get myself up to 1G. At least 1. For now. Okay, I'm going to start to put myself in a 45-degree position. 50's okay. And it's wanting to pull back to its optimum point, its thrust vector. This is where we're pointing. This is which direction we're traveling. I'm trying to pull this thing down. I'm doing that. It'll do it naturally, but I'm trying to rush it because I need to get this leveled out, remember? And I don't want to waste fuel. So the further I get from it, the more I waste fuel. Alright, I think it's time just to back off. And the key here is to have this number frozen or moving backward very slowly. Very slowly. See? And then I can put it here. And if I'm really concerned, but this is counterproductive, you can point it to the ground to pull your apoapsis down. But that's, like I said, that's counterproductive. We're wasting fuel doing that because we have to get that altitude back. The reason you do it is if you're trying to get out of something or avoid radiation, or you're on a rescue mission and it's way out of bounds. But as I can see, this is moving up too fast, so I need to have that moving backward very slow. Look, slow. Eventually stop and then move forward. And then I can back it off again. Anyway, if that's moving too fast for me, I know it's going to slow down. The thing is I have the 1,000 meters per second in my mind. So if as long as I don't go below 1,000 meters per second, I'm now in space, way up there. Okay, so now I look at the second meter, and I'm going to try to freeze that up. See, it says 35, 34. When it gets to about 12 seconds, well, I'll just start now. Okay, because I'm not close enough to my target, so I have not checked my fuel. But now the object is to slow this number down. So it's creeping very slowly backward. Look, 15, 14, 13. Alright, I'm going to go check on something, which is my fuel. We still got a little. So one thing you can do here is just kind of punch it. Watch this. And the seconds are going to move away from you. Alright, now we've just run out of gas. And we stage. Now we're working with the Terrier engine and less weight. And you can see we're locked up on the 15-degree mark at almost a frozen number. Alright, as it grows away from us, we can move towards this mark of efficiency, and it should come back to us. When you put it right on, that's really nice, and you're so close to your 22. Let's watch what happens to the orbit. Our orbit line is growing. We have periapsis. At this point, you can go full speed, stop at 110. Bam, just like that. I said bam. That's funny. Okay. So I got this huge orbit way above between 70 and 90, which the reason we target between 70 and 90 is it's just good habit. If we're in a rescue mission and someone's in low Earth orbit, we need to be able to hit that. Right now where we're at, this kind of like demonstrates a little bit of lack of control getting that high. I was probably wasting gas. Those solid boosters, I know what it is. I should have turned those back in the beginning. They were just blasting full bore. Anyway, with a little bit of fine tuning, we can do even better. So I'm going to set our target, and I'm going to check our fuel. Looks like we have enough fuel to get there and back. Alright, we're going to have to loop around the planet and catch it as we come around the other side. So I'm basically going to speed this whole process up. And we're going to miss the beautiful sunrise. Look at those flares. Okay, so we're accelerating really hard now, and I'm going to slow that down so I can do this with some control. You can see we're 1.4 off the node. That has no positive mark, so we go here. This should have been done at the point. Now I'm losing efficiency. Go to here. I can't explain this, but this is approximately correct, and we'll know that if this closes closer to 0. Yep. Alright, so it started to grow again. So that was out of bounds. Which means I needed to come back to here. Oh, I'm absolutely wrong. Opposite. Here. Both opposites, not just one. Now we'll deal with 8. What it's gonna do is we're not gonna hit this exactly, so it's gonna put us in a non-concentric orbit if we go into orbit. But even if we don't, we're gonna come back. We just won't be on that little perfect 90-degree plane. We can check and see what we're on now. I'm sure it's really close to 90. Yeah, I'd say we're, when I put it right on the center, we're at about 90.8, almost 91. If I don't know if you can see it in the video, but it's just kind of where the line hits the line. You know, if you run your gas tank on empty, you understand the line. I'm on the line, I'm not below the line. Anyway, so it just so happens I'm about 91 degrees. I'll bet I'm 90.8. You add 90 plus that. That's where you get that. All right, so our next step is to go to the moon naked, and that's without computer control. We actually don't have our software or computer programmed yet, which is reflected in an upgrade on the what do we call that? The communications and observation. So anyway, we're gonna cheat, and since we really don't know where we're going, or we know where we're going, but we don't want to be lost in space. So as soon as we see that come up the moonrise, we jack it up like that. We're full throttle right now. Okay, let's go to the other screen and watch our ellipse grow. So what you can see now is that shooting out. This is where our fuel might get a little, feel like we're getting low, but you can do a lot with fuel. If you have, let's just say 25 or 30 fuel points, which is oxidizer and liquid fuel, 25 is about perfect for trying to bring back this larger, less heat resistant object. Okay, so there's 25 in oxidizer and fuel approximately. So we're gonna just kind of poke on out a little bit. If we have to risk our lives, we will. We're gonna do it for you, the viewers. And it's just 3 Kerbals risking their lives, not just one. And it's not me, it's them. So if I could have everyone express their gratitude and be grateful. All right, 18. I feel like it's enough. I also feel like I want to get closer. So we're going to try to put that down to, let's say 500. Below 500. And I'm still around 18. See, look at this. I'm just giving it shots of fuel. It's not using hardly anything. And we're growing astronomical proportions. But as we make this circle bigger, we're also putting our mission timeline out here a little further. So we're at 14 hours now. 15 hours. Trying to get below 500. I believe that'll help me. I think that qualifies me for flyby. Actually, I don't even think you have to get that close. You just have to get out there and hit that little thing that says P wherever you could. If you can see that, then you qualified. But I always go a little further. All right, so we're 15 hours out, which means you're going to be 15 hours back. And if we do nothing, it's going to be 1 day, 7 hours, 6 minutes, and 54 seconds. Now realize a Kerbal day is different than it's not a 24-hour day. So, now what this shows us too is you can see this mark indicates our closest point to the moon. So as the moon comes down its track and we come up this way, we're going to have a really good view of the moon the whole way. So if we were scientists doing a moon study, we would absolutely be enamored with this opportunity to study all this stuff. All right, so there's a thing called high space, and it's an EVA report, so we're going to go out and we're going to get one. We'll see if we get it. No, this is in space just above the mountains. So what we're going to do is reboard, and when we get a little further away, we're going to do high space. Alright, I've got it on acceleration right now. Stopping the acceleration for the high space. Alright, space high over Kerbin. So we keep that. Now that will not qualify us for what this says is fly by the moon, gather scientific data from the moon, and we technically did not do that. We just gathered it from Kerbin, or our home planet. So let's get up there and not forget to collect our science. And the further you get away, you can really go fast now. See, but you got to be careful too, because you'll fly right by it. But without time acceleration, we just can't do it. Just can't do it. I've often wanted to run a mission in real time, but I'd have to dedicate a computer for days, hours if not days. And with multitasking I could, but man, can you imagine? 14-hour mission where most of it's waiting. You just have to, like, I'd probably set alarm clocks and make sure you were there. Probably try to live your life between. You wouldn't sit in a box like these guys do. It's not really a matter of life or death, so if you fail, I don't know if you could do it. We're not patient enough creatures. So, alright, so now what I'm in is the orbit, and what I could do is when I get here, juice the gas a little. That'll bring that down. So I'm going to get to the periapsis of the moon. Now this blue line is indicating that we are under the influence of the moon now. We're under the gravitational force of the moon. The Earth's fighting it, of course, and that's why it's not grabbing us and making us go into a circle around it. Now, if we wanted to encourage that and fight the Earth gravity, you just put it right here, and we don't have the gas, so we can't do it, but that's what you do at this point. Actually a little bit before, so you don't get behind. But the only thing we're going to do here is bump the gas to try to pull this number down. 572. No, that's making it grow. So, come back here. That was wasted efficiency. But the next time we're here, we have learned what to do. This is also important that we get closer here. And see what we're doing? We're using the gas at this point to bring our periaptic distance within reason. If I can get that down to 12, right there, I'm very comfortable with that. And look what I've done. I've taken hours off the journey. Now, our job here is to collect space. Collect science, so let's not neglect that. Pressure data. Probably no pressure at all, right? Temperature. Cold. It's cold. Cold, cold space. Crew report. Yeah, we did it. We're here. All right. EVA. And last but not least, mystery goo. All right, so I don't think the scientist can go on an EVA. I click the button and it says that I have a hatch. So they have to go through here, but Valentina's blocking. So I can take her on an EVA like that. And we're going to have her collect data. Take data. Take data. Collect data. Alright, then I'm going to store the experiments inside the capsule. And then, lo and behold, I'm going to let go. Now I'm going to change ships. Now I'm to the ship. So I want to transfer a crew out. And it's going to be Bob. And he's going to go in here. And then Bob's going to go on an EVA. Alright, now we have 2 Kerbals. Might as well hit restore. Put it back. Board. Transfer crew. Put him back in the little safety of his hatch. I have to change ships again. I think it's the tilde button, if that's what you call that. And here I am. Now, remember earlier I turned the thermometers upside down. I don't know if you remember that. So, I'll show you why. Now, while we're out here, I might as well talk about this. A little bit of gas is all you need. You'll get sent going in the wrong direction, and always know your opposites. If you go down, you should be able to come back up. If you go this way, you should be able to come back that way. When you go forward, if you're not lined up, you're also going to be moving up along the thing. So it's 6 directions. Right, left, forward, and then grab on. All right. All right, I'm getting way out of bounds, so I need to just stop. I maybe need to back up. All right, if you get out of whack, hit your alternate button. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. All right, I'm going to go up and forward. A little back. A little back. Forward. Go this way. Go that way. Up. Back, back. Alright, so I'll turn it off. I'll turn it back on again. And kind of reposition. All right. So Anyway, I was going to try to grab it the other way so the instruments would be straight up and down. But he's holding on to his hand points, and we'll let him board. Alright, so that's a little bit of spacewalking. I know it's crazy, isn't it? We have pretty good electricity right now. We're barely connected, and I want to complete our mission, and I'm going to send the crew report home. So we'll review the report, and I want to get in position where we can see the antenna. Go ahead. All right. So if we're ready, I'm going to send it. All right, so the antenna extends. The data is transmitted, and we're done. It's going to retract. We turned our battery indicator to less than 50%, or I don't know if that's less than 50%. It probably is showing that. If I turn this on, I wonder if it'll come green. No, leave that off. Actually, we can turn it on because the reason we had it off was so we would have guaranteed electricity when we come back, but we're attached. We'll go ahead and leave it off. If we need to at a later date, we'll turn it on, but keep that bus fuse off, that battery full. So here's our next step. We're going to go up to here, 7 hours away. And you can see the moon's holding us here. And then at this point, it's going to be called the escape. And when we escape from here, it's actually a point here. So the way this shows you is let's call it a computer representation. But we're actually moving in this direction down this orbit. You can see. And sometimes it draws funny little shapes when they're actually going to be straight lines when you actually do them, or gentle curves, which is more of the case in math. And this is why geometry and algebra and parabolas and all this stuff that kids say, I'm never going to use this in real life. No. Well, if you're a rocket surgeon, you will. But it's still no reason not to learn it because it's nature's way. Natural curves. Everything's in circles and ovals, and you don't fly straight to anything unless you're in a jet. Even airplanes have a gentle curve. From the propeller spins and pulls you one way, and to compensate you need about some cases about 3 to 5 degrees yaw to keep you going in a straight line, so you're just not flying in a curve. Alright, now all of a sudden we're back under the influence of the main planetary gravity. It's so much more powerful than this, but yet it's still a weak enough force that at only 380 meters per second, we're pulling away from it. And I don't know if you remember, but just to clear the planet, we needed 2250 to set lower Earth orbit. So as we drive away from it, it like sucks us down to almost a crawl. And that's what's going to happen when we get to the apoapsis. And then as we approach, we're going to pick up speed. So believe me, by the time we get back, we'll be lucky if we're not doing 33 to 3,800 meters per second, hitting orbit at that. And depending on our gas, we may want to set it at about 55 and let nature pull our apoapsis to us. A gravity assist along with the atmospheric drag assist. It just all works itself out. And if we can get below 50, then we should come back to Earth in a reasonable time. If we get down to, let's say, 45, even better, 40 even better. You go below 29 and you're asking for trouble. And the trouble comes in the form of heat and explosions and death and destruction. So let's just, I've got my, all right, we can increase our time frame. We're usually limited around 4 when we're a body of influence. That just keeps us from going nuts. So as I get on to the highest point, we are now the farthest we have ever been from the planetary system. All right, so now, oh, I didn't even check my fuel. I just started doing it. We need to watch it. I'm going to put it on 6 and look. Get too busy watching one thing, you neglect another, and then you can have catastrophic failure. It's called over-focus. When you can only look at one number, or you're only paying attention to one thing, and you need to be paying attention to 2 or 3, even if you're monitoring the other 2 and the one you're looking at is your primary, you still cannot be over-focused, especially in any type of aviation or space flight. So we went from, what was it, 2 or 3 million to 687,000, and we didn't even use half our fuel. So like I said, the whole idea is to put this down under the space. If we had fuel, the optimum thing to do would be bring it down to 70 and then reduce it on the backside with our thrusters without entering into the Earth's orbit. But we don't even have near the gas to do anything like that. And I'm sure Mission Control would be concerned at this low. We're on our absolute reserve. So we really have nothing to lose. We're either going to make it back or we're not. But you can see, we just barely have the gas going. That thing's rolling down like a speed demon. And my gas usage is extremely low. So I have no doubt we're going to make it to 70. But we don't need a rescue mission with this giant ellip. Alright, so we just reached the point where we're not going to be lost in space or have a near impossible rescue mission where we have to set something up with an ellipse that goes past the moon and back. My goodness. 15 million meters from my planet. And it looks like we have a little bit of gas left. So, what did I say? 50 is a... What that would do is shoot us into the orbit, and then we would get sucked into the orbit, and then probably thrust out of the orbit again. So slow way down, and then it'll send us back out into space. Which means our speed will never drop below 2,300. So what that does is the first pass, it'll go bring it down to here. Second pass, it'll bring it down to here. Third pass, it'll bring it down to here. And each time it passes, it'll drop a little bit more and pull this a little faster. But you can get into this thing where you have to do 5 rotations before you're actually coming in safe. And I'm going to test the equipment. We're going for the 39411. This is not the 29 guarantee. This is the 39 wishy-washy. Is it even going to happen? Anyway, let's go. I just can't do anything but press the timer. Sometimes it shoots you past, so you want to slow it down if it doesn't slow itself down now. We need to, before 55, because look at us, we're traveling 31, which it's better than I thought. We're going to travel like this. And about right now, we're going to give it the rest of the gas. It wasn't much. And I since I'm concerned about heat up here, I want to use this as a heat shield. And as you can see, we're not slowing down. We're going faster. Now let's see if I can show you what's happening here. As we approach the P, you'll see this coming down. See it coming down? Let me go back here, because I have to eject that before I blow up. See how it's getting hot? It's getting hot too. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. We're at critical. Let's go ahead and get rid of it now. Alright. Now our heat is on these things, and our heat shield called ablation should be absorbing some of it. To absorb all of it, we need to get more centered. We're really not safe unless we're in that zone. And as you can see, this has stopped absorbing the heat, but this just is not. And this is what I was worried about, that this would get so hot that we would blow them up. Look, the engineer's concerned. See that face? They're concerned. Now, they're not scared yet when they're going, ah! That's another level. Valentina is pleased but concerned. And why? Because we're going 2,900 meters per second at 4,200 feet. The thing I'm happy about, though, is I can see the temperature going down. It's not going up. It's registering and it's going down. I have this barometric instrument that may blow. Once I made the adjustment, I took now the heat isn't building on it anymore. It's building somewhere else. Anyway, we're at 50,000 now, and we're traveling up. Look, it's already tossing us away from the planet. Let's go see what's going to happen to us. All right, this is coming down, coming down, coming down, but I am going up. So it appears as if we're going to have to take it's going to take us another hour to get back. An hour and 9 minutes from here. And of course that changes constantly. And you can see until we hit 70, and we're at 64 now, it's going to be pulling that down, but it's slower. And we did this for safety reasons. We did not want to get... Whoa. Alright, I found a new button. I'm hitting the tab. And that was taking me to other planet view, which is fine. Now, the good thing about this is the temperature's all down. We still have ablation, which is our ablator, also known as the heat shield. Try to run scientific experiments if we want to. I can see our parachutes are not blue, so we have not pulled the button. I'm going to pull the button now in case we pass out. We need chutes. If everyone dies, at least we'll have parachutes and they can either revive us or keep our bodies intact. So, anyway, we really need to use our time accelerator because this hour video would just kill us, wouldn't it? I'm going to trust that it's going to stop itself. And it did. And we need to be in the right position because we're traveling at 2,700 meters per second, which is better than 32. Put it right in the middle of that, and then you can see as we hit 62 that it's pulling this number down again. And at 37,000, the problem is is we're going into thick air. We're going into thick air and coming out of thick air. If you look at this, this is the different measures of thickness. This is the first measure, and as a pilot, we consider that thin air. But as an astronaut, that's thick air. I mean, as opposed to no air at all. Because we're traveling at this speed, the air is causing friction, and the friction's causing heat. So, as we approach you can see our vertical speed's got us going down. And we're at 45 and going down rapidly to 37. So, as you can see, that has really pulled that down. We're not even anywhere near the moon. If something were to happen to us now, and nothing can happen to us because physics won't allow it, we're almost, this is within the parameters of a rescue mission. Reasonable. But that's just an example. I would have to have thrust to put this thing back into orbit, and it would probably start about here and then use the pointing straight up. Alright, so this is getting pulled down very reasonable. We're to 400,000 feet, and you can see we're still descending. I don't think we're going to go up again, but we'll know because this will go to 0 and above. So that's the whole goal at this point, is to just stay. Now, we're testing our new parachute setup so we aren't flipping ourselves around topsy-turvy like we did on the last flight. Remember the drag chute flipped us over upside down, and then, no, it was another game I was playing. Anyway. Alright, so now they've changed us to piloting view. Now we're flying it like a pilot. And remember, we want to stay in, we don't want to flip over. We're not a teardrop nature shape anymore. So we have to actually guide this tube. And once you get it set up, it's like any tube flying through the air. If you don't get it all cockeyed, it won't go. It'll fly. It's called ballistics. It's like a bullet. Which, by the way, I believe we're traveling faster than the speed of a bullet right now. I'd have to look that one up. It's a very interesting island we're looking at there. If I make an airplane and figure out where this is, I might actually come try to land on that. Oh, there it goes, it rendered. It's bigger than I thought. I still might try to land on it. I'm gonna just look and see where it is. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. It's about almost as far away. It's within range when we get jets with bigger tanks. We can fly there. I just remember it. Yeah. This looks like this would be really fun with submarines. Look at all the variation of terrain, undersea terrain. Submarines are kind of boring. They're dark. Just kind of hanging there. It's a lot like flying an airplane. It's a lot like being in space. It's a lot more pressure. Okay. I'm going to try to make their ride a little more comfortable. And I can show you what I mean by that. See, everyone's sitting upright with their heads facing up. We're not spinning topsy-turvy. Dang, they could be playing with a deck of cards. Look at them. Now we're leaning back into the landing position. Just passed into our parachute zone. Alright, that was 4,200 when that opened and started to drag. That was 2,200 when that opened. It flowered instantly, and then the other chute flowered. It's almost a parasail. Alright, that top chute has a lot more power than this drag chute. Maybe if I had two. But the one thing I noticed too is I'm almost falling too fast. And that's because I have too much weight and not enough parachute. So one thing I can do to decrease that is jettison my heat shield. Don't need it anymore. You're going to hear an explosion when it hits. Oh, did you see the shadow coming in? You could tell when it was going to hit the ground, when the shadow touched the ground. Alright, I'm still falling a little fast. Looks like I've lost all my batteries. Let's turn this on. See if I can get somewhere. Alright, and the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to hit that thing square. I don't want it to blow up. Alright, not too bad. It's stuck. I can't move it. So, just in case, we're going to check our science. Hey, look at that. Grasslands. So, chances are, we can get it all. And this is just a little bonus for us while we're here. Don't forget the EVA. And let's get the recover the vessel. Now this is a big jump. You've just really completed the hardest part of the game. From here, it's a matter of doing a flyby Minmus, landing on Minmus, landing on the moon, collecting EVAs from biomes. I showed you almost everything you need to move forward. There's another moon. It's a little further. But it's definitely doable. And you can land on both. And there's multiple biomes on the moon. So the goal now is to land on all the biomes on Earth. We've already landed on water. We've landed on grassland. We landed in this little immediate Kerbal Space Program area. But when we get to the moon, we're going to want to land in craters, land on the poles. There's a rumor that a UFO crashed on the North Pole on the moon. But anyway, that's unsubstantiated. You'd have to fly there and find it to figure that one out. So we earned 112 science points on that journey. A whole bunch of money. Look at that. Big money. It's not that big, but it's big enough to 3 stars. Look at that. And this is really the coolest part. Your start up 1, 2, 3, and you're 5 contracts in, or is it 6? Because I picked up that last contract. 4 missions. On the 4th mission, you got 4 stars. That means like everyone was efficient. You were efficient anyway. It's really nice. Where do you go from there? You start upgrading things. I have to get off this 30 limited to 30 parts. It's gonna kill me, so I have to do that upgrade, right? And then research, you can only get to a certain level if you don't upgrade that. The whole thing eventually needs to be upgraded, so you know, it never hurts just to do it for the future. Now this is pushing it a little. That'll leave me 40,000. So unless I'm building airplanes and need that upgraded at this point, I'm just going to leave it alone. I got to spend 161. Did this get upgraded? I could upgrade that and then take 4 missions. Right now I can only take 2, which is going to be, we have a rescue mission, which is wonderful, and explore Kerbin, which is park 2 vessels, I think. Yep, close to each other. So when we do the rescue mission, we would satisfy this portion of it. Okay, now I see something really sad. We have another rescue, so we are forced by our compassion to upgrade the missions. Now we can go back and we can accept 2 rescue missions with the exploration orbit, and at that point we got stuff to do. We got Kerbals to rescue, and when we rescue them, they will be our new astronauts. They'll be part of the team. They'll work for us. So I'm going to end the video here, and when we come back, I'm going to show you a rescue. We're also going to be, I guess it's the same thing as a vessel rendezvous. This is how you launch and catch another spaceship and get within, let's just say, 3 meters of it. We're going to just park right next to it. We'll touch it if we have to, but we don't want to collide. So at this point, I'm going to end the video. So thanks for watching.